Hello.
Hello, Jor-el.
How are you, Rolf?
Can't complain. How are you doing?
I am doing fantastic. It's a beautiful day in Los Angeles,
Yeah.
and
Here too
yeah,
in Tennessee.
good. Say it again.
Here too in Tennessee, very, very hot.
Oh wow, yeah. What is it? What's the temperature in Tennessee?
I don't know in Fahrenheit, but I would guess 100,
Wow, yeah.
35 degrees in Celsius, so probably 100.
Oh wow, yeah. I was in the hottest temperature I think I've ever been in was like 40 degrees Celsius.
Here in the United
Which is
States,
weird.
or
No, I was in South Africa.
okay,
Um,
okay, that's I think that's normal temperature.
I was technically in Namibia, technically, but yeah,
Wow. So,
yeah.
Jor-el, thank you very much for joining me on my podcast.
Yes, thank you for having me. Lovely to be here. Sorry, there's a technical snafu. I have a mic and I had it plugged into an interface and it wasn't connecting, so now I'm just using my phone. So
Oh, that's with your phone?
yeah,
Oh, not bad at all.
I know that's what I thought. I thought it was going to be
Yeah,
terrible, but actually, it's not too bad,
no,
right?
it's not bad at all. So,
Yeah, yeah. I have my fan on, so I can turn that off if you can hear that if the noise is distracting.
yeah, it sounds like a little bit like a little water fountain. It's
Here,
no,
let me
it's
turn it off and let's
no,
see.
yeah, I
Wait, let
have
me
it.
turn it off.
I have it off too, and you start sweating then after a while, like
Yeah,
you see,
yeah, I know with the head,
it's
more
getting
surface
hot.
area.
So, Jorel,
Yeah,
I don't know if I pronounce your name correctly here in the States. Is this
oh,
Jor-el? Jor-el?
it's Jor-el, so it's with the
Because
hard J.
with
So
J,
Jor-el.
but
Yeah.
can you tell us where your name Jor-el or Jor-el Vaasborg comes from?
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. So I've got kind of a crazy name. So Jor-El, which is my first name, is the name of Superman's dad in the comic books. So my dad's a nerd. That's where it comes from. Which is it's always funny because anytime I meet someone uh, and they're asking about my name, there's usually three responses, right, for my first name, right? Either it's someone who knows, right, and they always go like, "So your name is that is it?" Yeah, and I'm always like, "Yes, it's that. Yeah, it's what
So
you're thinking."
in
Um,
in German, it is Jor-el, Jor-el.
oh, really?
It is
Wow.
Jor-el in German.
Oh,
So
interesting.
I
Yeah,
thought that too. That sounds very Superman
yeah,
like
yeah,
wise.
yeah.
But
It
I
is very super.
maybe it's Nordic. I thought I will ask him. Maybe it's Nordic because Fastboy sounds Nordic.
I'll get there. So anyway, with my there's usually two other responses, right? Usually it's either like there's that response, right? Then like a third of people will go, "Oh, that's kind of like interesting. Like what is that? Is that like, like French or like what language? Like it's a really interesting name, right?" And then the last third of people will say, "I have a cousin named Jarrell. He's black." Right? But it's spelled completely differently. Right? So it's spelled with like different vowels and all of that. So it's usually one in three. I get one of those three responses. My last name, Vosborg, is actually a combination of my mom's last name and my dad's last name. So my mom's last name is Borg, and my dad's last name is Voss. But they didn't put a hyphen in the middle because there's a hyphen in my first name, and they were like, too many hyphens. It's weird if he has like double hyphens in his name. So my last name is actually unique. I don't think there's any other Vosborg out there because it's actually two completely different names put together with no hyphen.
I really thought
Um,
it was Nordic because it sounds Nordic.
well, it is. So
Fastborg.
yeah, yeah. So Borg is Swedish, right? Borg is Swedish. So my mom is of Swedish ancestry. So it's like Swedish and a little Spanish and Welsh and kind of Northern European. And my dad is from Hungary. So Voss is Hungarian. So that's where that comes from.
Can you speak one of the languages, Hungary or Swedish?
No, I need to learn it. And actually, it's on my agenda to learn a little bit because I realized I can get my European passport through my dad because my dad is from there. So I was looking and I thought it'd be great to spend more time in Europe, right? You can get a European passport if your parents are from Europe. Or a Hungarian passport. And I look at the application, and it seems like I fulfill all the requirements, except I need to be able to learn a little bit of Hungarian to be able to like answer a couple questions and pass the test. So it's on my agenda. even though I don't know any of it. My dad didn't speak any of it growing up. So I don't have. I have the ancestry, and I have a love of hot baths and stews and goulash and meat, but I don't have enough of the Hungarian cultural heritage as I'd like, and in my kind of world.
How about Swedish? Do they have the same requirements for become a citizen? Or
You know what? I don't know, but my mom is from the United States, right? So like she was born in. Yeah, so my dad's an immigrant refugee. So because they escaped when there was a revolution, and I think it was like maybe the 60s, um, or thereabout. So my dad's actually a refugee. My mom is, and they came here legally. My mom is was born in the Midwest. So if they had the same requirements, I don't think I could get a
no, if no, I don't think
yeah,
so. I think they have a similar requirements as Germany has,
yeah.
and they're a
When
lot.
I was in South Africa over December, all the tourists there were German. Like, apparently you guys have the best holidays. They were saying that's what they were saying. They're saying like in Germany they have the best like work-life balance.
Yes, we have a total of more than 6 weeks
Wow.
of work holiday or work vacation days in Germany.
Mm,
6 weeks.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of S my source told me that, originally you, wanted to become a, geologist. Is
Yeah.
it right?
So
So origin
yeah,
but then
geologist.
somehow because I hate that with do you know who Steven Tobolowsky is? Ned Ryerson from
That name kind of rings familiar a little
Ned
bit, but no, not really.
Ned Ryerson, he plays Ned Ryerson in Groundhog Day. The
Oh, yeah,
name is
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
Steven
I know
Tobolowsky.
exactly what you're talking about now. Yeah, yeah.
So and he had the same. He wanted to study. No, he started studying
Oh,
geology. It's a difficult word for me.
it's a hard word.
And then
Yeah, yeah.
I came
It's
across with you. You wanted to become the same, and then now an actor. What a coincidence!
I know, right? Yeah, there's a little poster my mom has somewhere, and it's, in first grade, and it says like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And I wrote actor or geologist. So, which kind of makes sense now because I'm an actor, and then I also do a lot of rock climbing. So,
All right, that's an hobby, right? Or do you
yeah, yeah,
teach?
yeah, yeah.
Do you
Mhm.
teach rock climbing, or is it just a hobby?
I don't, but I do. I have taken people out climbing who haven't gone before. Like I'm taking someone out this week, and it's a lot of fun. But I'm not a qualified um, a guide. Yeah, there's a whole system that you go through to do that, which might be fun to do at some point. I have a friend who was trying to do it for a while, but there are a lot of requirements that you need. Um, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. Most weekends or sometimes during the week. That's what I'm doing. And I actually do have a YouTube channel where I show some of the climbs that I do and some of the trips that I take
What's the
that I
channel?
find
What's it?
interesting.
That's a channel. What's the channel?
Yeah, so it's just at my last name, so Vaasborg. So Vaasborg, right? So it's always fun saying my last name over the phone to like a telemarketer. I always immediately give them the alphanumeric because the V's and the B's get all mixed up. So I'm like vampire, aardvark, Sasquatch, boy, orangutan. I go through the whole alphanumeric thing.
So, when did you decide to go into acting, to become an actor? When was
When
the
I was a
point?
little kid, it's kind of all I ever wanted to do. My mother acted kind of growing up. She acted back in the day. She did a lot of theater, and I think when I was a little kid, your parents kind of, especially good parents, put you in like all sorts of activities, right? And that was the one sort of activity that, you know, I grew up kind of with a single mother who was kind of trying to raise me, and if I played soccer and then I came home and she was like, "Great job." And then I would like audition for a show and I would come home and she would go, "I think you need to work on this. I think you could do this and you could do this and do this." Right. So it was definitely something that I bonded over with my mom. And it was something that I think anytime you're kind of good at something, it tends to be something you enjoy, right? So I think as a little kid, because I had someone who could kind of give me a little bit of guidance, I think it was something that I excelled at and I really enjoyed. And one thing I love about acting is I'm a very curious person, and so um, as an actor, you kind of like I'm interested in this and this and this and this, and it's kind of perfect if you're an actor because you kind of get to explore those things, you know. Um, yeah,
Do you have any education acting, or did you attend college or
yeah,
school or acting
yeah.
school?
Yeah, so I went to UCLA to study acting. So I'm from Monterey up in Northern California. And then when I knew I wanted to be an actor, but I saw a lot of my friends kind of leave Monterey and go to LA or go to New York. And they would go for a couple months and then like run out of money and come back home. Right. And I didn't want that to be me. And you don't technically need a degree to be an actor. So, you could do something like that, but I kind of wanted I wanted to improve as an actor, but I also wanted a really strong base, right? Just as a human being, as like an adult, and to kind of understand what it was like to live in these cities. So I thought I was probably going to live in LA or New York.
And how is
Yeah, what were
it?
you saying?
How is it living in LA?
Oh, it's pretty awesome, actually. I think LA gets a pretty bad rap just because it's one of those cities where I think okay, I think if you fight LA, like if you fight it, it can be really really miserable. But if you figure out how to like kind of like a river, right? If you're trying to go against the tide, right, then it feels impossible. But if you go with the tide, it's amazing, right? Like for example, I think people think, "Oh, you have to drive everywhere in LA and you can't really do things." And yeah, you do have to drive, but like yesterday, every place I went only took me like 20 minutes or 30 minutes to get there because I knew what times of the day to go different directions in LA, right? And if you can build your own,
Many
yeah,
people, they have to drive during rush hour. They have to.
yeah,
That's the point.
it's
That's
true.
why they are so miserable and
Exactly, yeah,
complain. But if you have the
totally, yeah,
choice to avoid
yeah,
the
yeah,
traffic rush hour, then I believe too
exactly,
that Los
right?
Angeles and Orange County is a very good place with
Yeah,
a lot sightseeing and a lot things to do.
totally. I love that you could just be in the city, right? You can like feel like you're actually in a city, and then I can literally go like drive 40 minutes, and I feel like I'm completely by myself. Just like me and trees and nature, or like I'm in the water in the ocean, or the beach, or I'm in a cave, or I'm like like Tuesday. I like did my whole morning routine, did all my stuff, and then I just drove down to Palm Springs and I went up into the mountains and just like took a tram ride to like 8,500 feet, and I was just me all out there just by myself with like rocks and nature and birds, and it was great. And then I came back home and then woke up and I'm in the city again, so it was perfect.
Okay. So I came to a documentary where you got a major role in what was it, National Geographic,
Mhm.
Billy the Kid,
Yeah,
new evidence, and you played
exactly.
you played. I mean, I can see it. You played Billy the Kid. How was it? How
Yeah.
was it? And did you audition for the role? How was it when they said, "Okay, you got the
Uh-huh.
role. You are Billy the Kid"?
Yeah.
How was it for you?
So Oh my god, it was so much fun. So this is kind of a long story, but let me know if I go on too long. But
Uh,
here's what happened.
I'm not in a rush. I'm
Okay.
not going anywhere.
Okay. All right. So what I told you, I went to UCLA. So I studied acting there, and one of the reasons I went there, besides you're going to be in LA afterward, and I kind of figured out, oh, this is what you do in LA, and um, is they have a showcase, right? So it's like my senior year. We do the showcase, which is a couple scenes in a small little theater for some agents and managers, and I do a couple scenes, and then a week goes by, and I feel like all my friends are getting calls, and I'm not. Right, so I'm talking to this guy. He's like, "Oh yeah, I had a meeting with this agency and this, and I signed with them, blah blah." And I'm like, "Great, good for you, right?" And I'm like, "Nothing," right? And then, like a couple days later, I get an email from this manager, right, saying, "Hey, I saw you at the showcase. Would you like to come in for a meeting?" So I drive in my little non-air conditioned car all the way out to Burbank to this tiny little like office, and I go in and there's this kind of like weird guy named Tom who's ended up being amazing, but um, who we talk. He's like, what kind of parts do you want to play? Blah blah blah. We had talked for a couple hours. It was a good meeting, but you never know what to think, right? I leave. I go home. The next day, I get a call from him. And at this time, I was working as a personal trainer at the gym. So I was literally in the middle of a session with a client. I get a call and he says, "Hey, I know we didn't officially sign with each other, but there's this audition for this thing. Billy the Kid, Kevin Costner is going to produce it. Would you want to audition for it?" I'm like, "Yeah, of course, right?" So, all right. So I get the sides on like a Friday. The audition's on a Monday. My car breaks down on Saturday, so then I can't take it to the mechanic over the weekend. So I take the I think I took the bus all the way over to Burbank to and my manager said, "They want you to be in period garb." I'm like, "I don't have any Western clothes." He says, "I have Western clothes. Meet me at this restaurant. I'll dress you." So I take the bus all the way to this like random cafe, and I've just like met this guy. I only spent like a couple hours with him, right? This cafe in Burbank. He puts me in this like clothes that do not fit me. This huge, kind of like long trench coat with this hat, and I'm sweating, and it's hot out. So I go in, I do the audition. That's on a Monday. On Tuesday, I get a call saying it's down to you and a couple other people, right? Like, great, okay, this is amazing. On Thursday, I get a call. It's down to you and one other guy. I'm like, wow. On Friday, I get a call. Actually, they give it to the other guy, right? So this is like Friday morning. So I'm like, okay, all right. And then I'm like thinking of like maybe like I'm like gonna go out drinking with my friends or something like that. Because I just graduated college, and then I get a call. I'm like, no, I think I'll go. Oh no, no, you never know. So I get a call Friday night saying the other guy can't ride a horse to save his life. Can you drive in to a ranch out in the middle of nowhere to test with the horse? Right? And I hadn't ridden a horse like in forever, right? But I used to go to these little dude ranches with my mom when I was like a little kid. Like she loves horses. So now I'm like trying to remember, okay, what do you do? So I go on YouTube. I'm like, all right, what do I do? Ride a horse, heels down, blah, blah, blah. So my car's fixed by then. So I go all the way out to this ranch on a Saturday morning. It's down to me and this other guy who I send in a self tape, right? So they put us on two horses and they have us basically do these little drills in an arena, like go in a circle, then do a figure eight, then do this, right? So they're like, all right, go in a circle, right? The other guy kicks the horse goes in a circle. I kick the horse, nothing happens. So I'm like, oh, shit, right? Um, so then, having been around horses a little bit, I know you just got to show him who's boss, right? So I like really let the horse have it, right? And I get the horse to basically do everything that the other guy's doing in slow motion, right? So they're like, do this, right? And then the guy like, and immediately, right? And they're like, do this, and I go, and the horse goes, right? So I'm like, I'm screwed. I'm so screwed, right? And then they go, okay, switch horses. And I'm like, yes. And the other guy can't get the horse that I was on to move at all. So that's pretty much how I booked it. So it
So
was crazy because they had already,
it was the horse.
yeah,
The horse was in your favor.
the horse is in my
Uh,
favor. Yeah,
the two horses, they knew
yeah,
exactly
yeah.
you are Billy the Kid.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So it was a crazy experience.
that
Yeah,
was, I
yeah.
think,
Go
it
for it.
was 2014 or 15, right?
Yeah, it's 2015. It was right after I graduated college. It was a pretty wild experience because I went from like having only been on set at a couple student films to being on set with like a huge set with like 100 plus people, with like extras, with a stunt team, with like stunt like a stunt stunt a stunt per like a stunt person with like with a armor, a gun armor person, and like riding horses and shooting guns out in the middle of the desert, and like your name is like the first name on the call sheet, which is such a wild thing. Like it, you don't understand kind of what that feels like until you're in that position. Like even certain stuff where like I have like really sensitive eyes, right? So I was like, wear sunglasses, right? Um, and then there was one time like I just couldn't find my sunglasses or something. So I like asked one person like, oh yeah, I think I can't find my sunglasses. You know where those are? And then immediately he's like, shh, Billy doesn't have his glasses. Who took Billy's glasses? Like, where are Billy's glasses? I'm like, no, 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 no. But this is what happens when you're like the first name on the call sheet, which just kind of experiences like that. It was pretty crazy.
How did
But
it do you
yeah, so,
remember do you remember how it felt to be on the set
yeah,
and
it was amazing.
be the most important person on the set next to Kevin Costner, of course?
Well, Kevin Costner wasn't on set. I wouldn't say I was the most important, right? Because the director is probably the most important person on set. Uh, but in terms of the performers, yeah, it's a weird feeling, and it's easy to kind of let it go to your head sometimes. But it was great. It was good. It was nerve wracking because because they had thought they were casting someone else, right? I really didn't get the script until like a day or two before we started shooting, and the script is like 50 pages long, right? So every day I would like do my scenes, and then on the way home and that night, and these are like 10-hour days, 12-hour days, 14-hour, long days. Um, I'd be like memorizing my lines for the next day, right? Because I didn't have any prep time. I had like maybe like a day or two, and that day was like filled with like a costume fitting, right? So yeah, so it was like, it was nerve wracking, but it was so much fun, right? And I remember when it was happening, and I was like, you need to appreciate this. You need to like take all this in. So yeah, I had a blast. I'll tell you another story. I'll tell you two more stories from it. One, um, uh, the so there was this guy who we're dealing with like kind of dangerous things, right? We've got wild animals, we've got guns, we've got this. There was one guy on set, this great actor named Steven. I'm totally blank on his last name, which is terrible. Um, but he actually played Spock in one of the Star Trek movies, like young Spock. Steven. Anyway, he was playing Charlie Bodrek, and uh, and so the first day on set, we're firing these guns out of these windows, these like shotguns or whatever. A shell, like a hot like shell comes out. We're firing blanks, but a shell comes out, hits him in the eye. So he has to go to the hospital to get like a glass cover put on it. That's day one, right? Day two, he gets thrown off a horse. Day three, yeah, I see him on like day four. Like every day he gets injured, right? On day four, I see him. He's like getting into his like costume, and under his costume, he's got like body armor, like Batman bodysuit armor. And I'm like, why are you wearing this armor? And he said, yesterday, a spider crawled up my costume and bit me on the dick. So this guy, day one, he has to get a glass eye. Day two, he gets thrown off the horse. Day three, he gets attacked by a spider. This poor guy during the whole shoot.
But he
It,
got he
it
got through.
He got through
He
it.
got
No, he
yeah,
was
we
great,
can
but
see that
yeah,
he got through.
he was like, "I'm wearing this, nothing is gonna happen to me. I'm fully safe." Um, so that's one story. The other story is, you talked about, like, how was it? And, it definitely was a little nerve-wracking, like, the first very almost like the very first shot, right? We're doing the scene, and we had, Dan Bush, who's an amazing film director who, directs, horror, and then we had, Philippe Denham, who was our showrunner who wrote the script, right? Both really great guys. And but it's always different when you've got like the writer slash the showrunner and the director, right? Who both might have different visions, right? So like the first day, I'm like doing the scene where I'm just like riding down the horse, right? And I see this girl that I like, and I do the scene, come out of it, and the director comes up to me, Dan, and he says, "Okay, all right, really good, really, I really like what you're doing, right? But just like keep it inside, right? Don't like just you don't need to push, just kind of exist, right? Just be the character, right? You don't need to, just like live in this world, right?" And I'm like, okay, cool. So he leaves. Then the showrunner comes up to me and goes, "Bigger," right? And I'm like, what do I do? So you have to juggle like all these different things that are happening. So it was fun, but it was definitely nerve wracking. But I think I like being under high pressure situations. I mean, when you're rock climbing, sometimes you're under some high pressure situations too. So um, yeah.
Are you still with the same manager, Tom?
I am not. No, I am not anymore. Unfortunately, yeah, he was amazing. Actually, he got me some really cool auditions, some really cool roles. But he at one point he got sick and had to drop a bunch of his clients. So he had
And
to like kind of step away
you
from
were
a bit.
one of them, because he probably thought, "Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
old, you're young, you deserve something else, or look for
Well,
another manager."
I'm not sure what happened. I just hope he's doing better now. So.
I can see that since that movie, Billy the Kid, your um, acting career went up.
Mm.
You get but do you consider yourself as a working actor who can make a living
Yeah.
from acting?
I would say there were times when I have made a living from acting, right? Um, and in the last couple of years, I've had times when I could live off acting, and then there's been times when I haven't, right? So, um, and making a living is really depends on how much money you spend, right?
Yeah,
Versus
but
how you spend how much money
if
you
you don't have an income, you can
Mhm.
spend anything. So if you don't have an income as an actor, how do you support yourself? How do you support acting?
Mhm. Yeah, so it's tricky. I mean, one thing I've been doing recently, well, one thing I did do for a while, right, is I worked as a personal trainer, right? So I was doing that while I was acting, which was a really nice job because you the flexibility, right? And there's something also nice in like helping people, right? Like
You said
I think,
as a personal trainer in a gym.
yeah, in a
Which
gym, and then I did some
I
private
think we
work.
can name the gym. Which gym, if anyone is interested on a good young looking guy as a personal trainer, which gym?
Uh, so I worked at the UCLA gym, right, for a while, and then I worked at a gym called 220 Fitness in Santa Monica, which is actually now closed, right? So I worked for them for a while, and then I left, and then now I still do some personal training, and I actually help contribute to a couple fitness websites, and work with them. But
If I would like to hire you as my personal trainer, fitness trainer, how would I find you? How would I hire you?
yeah,
How?
you can just DM send me a message on Instagram. I have a couple remote clients right now. I have a client who's in Paris who I train, um, and some other people. But yeah, I do remote coaching as well. But yeah, you can send me a message on Instagram. I also do photography as well. So you can always find my email on my photography website as well. So which is the photography website is Vaasborg photos.com. So it's my last name and then photo.
So with these, you are able to support your acting.
Mhm. Yeah.
That's good.
And
That's good.
sometimes my acting supports me. It kind of depends on the job, right? So, yeah.
Great. Um, do you think it is difficult to become a working actor? I mean, per our show.
The other thing I do, I'm so sorry to interrupt you, Raul. The
No,
other thing I do is I do coach, right? So I do some acting coaching as well. So, and that's one of the things I'm doing with active actors at the moment. Yeah.
speaking
Sorry,
of
go on.
you're saying you're doing with acting active actors. So working
Mhm.
means active actors means working actors who actually make a living out of acting.
Yeah.
You're your personal fitness trainer for them, or
No, no, I coach acting with them.
oh, you coach acting.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, personal acting coach too.
Yeah, that's something I've only started recently actually. But yeah, it's a lot of fun to coach people in auditions and scene study and yeah.
Is it in a school, or they book you and you go home to them
Yeah,
and
it's just remotely. It's remotely, just like my personal
okay.
training work. So it's nice to be able to work remotely. So
Okay, great. Um, besides teaching acting, you are also a volunteer at the I think it's Mayor Karen Moss,
yeah. So
Karen Bass, Los Angeles
yep, yep.
new Mayor Karen
Mhm.
Bass. I think this is Bass or Boss or Los Angeles.
I
You're a
think yeah,
volunteer.
Karen Bass. Mhm. Yeah. So
What do
the
you do
mayor has
there?
a yeah. So the mayor has a crisis response team, and one of the one of basically what they show up. And this is a really cool thing they do. Is they show up when there has been an emergency where someone has deceased, right? Someone has died at the scene of the crime, right? And they don't show up in any sort of um, first responder, like first. They don't show up in any sort of medical capacity, right? But what they're there for is to kind of hold space and give attention, and kind of be an emotional support team for the person who's there who's still alive, right? And so, like, let's say for example, like there's been a car accident, right? And someone's died in the car accident, right? There's someone who's dead, but there's still someone who's alive, and they're going through lot of trauma during that circumstance, right? And it's great if someone can like look after their vitals, make sure they're okay physically. All of those things are super important, but uh, emotionally is really important as well, right? Emotions and physicality are linked, definitely. And so what they're there for that, right? They're there just to hold space for that other person and kind of be a support team for them. And but they have to get trained, right, to do this, right? You can't, no one can just like go there and like, oh yeah, I'm here, and right? Like this is a really intense, serious situation. So they actually need actors to help um, basically be create case scenarios that they can then do their work in, right? So every couple months, what we'll do is we go down and we volunteer, and we'll get a certain scenario that we are part of, right? So like I've done a scene where where my dad, I found my dad, and he, shot himself in the head, right? And I'm going through trauma, and they're coming to visit me and emotionally support me, right? And I've done a scene where like I'm a young father and my child just died, right? So you go through these kind of example scenarios, and then they get to feel what it's like to kind of be in that area, so they can get trained, right? So it's super it's like really intense when you do it, but it feels really gratifying afterward to be able to kind of give back. And I think it's a really cool program that they have for people.
So you are playing the surviving person, and
Yes.
the other people who emotionally support these people, they are
Mhm.
getting taught by you practically
Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
emotions to how
Exactly.
to handle the
Yeah.
emotions. And
Totally.
whoa, that's great! I didn't know
So
that something like that
it's really cool.
existed.
I didn't even know that they do this. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. And it was really yeah, it's one of those experiences that when you're an actor, you kind of have to you have to embody some of these kind of dark places and these really intense places. Like last week, I had an audition where I was auditioning to play a serial killer. Right, so you have to go into these like really dark like spots, right? Which it can be kind of really intense, and it's nice to be able to channel that, but you also know you're doing something that's helping people, right? So yeah, it's cool to be part of that, even though it gets really intense. You know.
So when you're not doing this and climbing rocks and teaching acting and personal trainer, do you have any other hobbies?
Oh man, it's a lot of hobbies already. I like to try and make my hobbies as fun as possible. I I also play music as well, right?
Oh,
So
you
I
play
play
music
guitar.
too.
So
You see? You left
yeah.
that out. You left that intentionally out.
Well, you found it eventually. So yeah, I've actually got a little band that I'm in right now, called Reckless Raven. It's just right now it's just me and a drummer, and we're in a we're gonna be recording some new songs hopefully soon. But
Your
we've done a
your
couple live shows in LA.
own songs created.
Yep. Yeah, we do a couple covers, but it's mostly original material.
As a personal trainer, how does your diet look? What do you eat?
It varies. The It varies. It kind of depends. I mean, I think there's a couple different ways to look at food, right? One, I think food is nutrients, and I think some people don't look at food as fuel, right? Just like a car has fuel. So I think it's important to do that. But food is also fun at the same time, right? So it's all about kind of finding the balance between those two things, right? So my general rule, and it also kind of depends on what your goals are, right? Is your like right now I'm doing a lot of rock climbing. My goal isn't really to increase my weight, right? It's mostly kind of just generally staying fit for that. So like if I was trying to gain a bunch of muscle or lose a bunch of weight or do something, I might eat differently. But right now, I mostly just focus on making sure I'm getting protein with all of my meals, making sure I'm getting enough sleep. I know you didn't say nutrition, but sleep's like a huge thing, right? Making sure I'm well hydrated, right? And then in terms of like carbs and fat and that sort of stuff, I don't actually track it. I have in the past, but currently I don't go super deep into that. I just kind of pick healthy food options, right? So it's not too crazy. And the other thing too is I try mostly to like cook a lot of my own meals and then buy healthy food, right? And then if I go out, I don't really, I'll eat whatever. So
And it's cheaper to prepare your own food.
Exactly.
especially in Los Angeles. Someone I know in Los Angeles, I interviewed him too, Julian, and
Mhm.
he said, eating out in Los Angeles is very, very expensive.
Eating out anywhere can be expensive. It kinda depends on where you go. I think my camera just died on me for a second. Let me
Yeah.
turn I wonder if I can turn oh, there it is, I'm back. Um, it really depends on where you go, right? And I tend to prefer to, like, when I go out and get food, I like getting nice food. So, I would rather, like, spend the love and care and attention to, like, make my own meal, and then when I go out, go somewhere nice, right? Rather than, like I have friends who, like, just go to Subway. And I'm like, "Why would" you know? Eh,
I mean, it's cheap and it's not bad for the price. I mean,
yeah,
so once in
I
a
don't know.
while, Subway is not bad.
No, once in a while is great. I'm just saying, I really think if people started making their own food, you know, they would understand they'd save a lot of money, but also they would really have an idea of what they're eating, right? Because I think that's really the main thing with nutrition, right? Is people just really don't have an awareness of what they're eating. Same thing like with finances, right? People don't sit down and do an inventory of how much they're spending. Yeah, yeah.
If let's say acting wouldn't have not worked for you, wasn't your thing. You said acting, no, that's not mine. Where would you be today?
Oh man, I have no idea because so much of my life has revolved around acting and performing, and acting has led me into like so many cool places, and I met so many wonderful people. It's hard for me to think of what life would be without it. I always thought, like if I think as you get older, right? I think when you're younger, you think like everything just has to be this one thing, right? You don't understand that life is nuances, and really you can kind of do anything you want to do, right? It's just about where you're going to place your time, right? And I think I always thought because I love doing that things in the outdoors. I love like camping and hiking and all that sort of stuff. I always thought like, okay, I can either go be an actor or I can like go like move to Colorado and like live in a cabin and climb rocks and do all that sort of stuff, right? Like it's either this or it's that. And so in my 20s, like after I graduated college, I really just focused on acting as much as I could and kind of left all the other stuff out, right? And then you kind of realize like your life doesn't just have to be this one thing, right? You can be intensely passionate and intensely curious and incredibly psyched on this one thing, but you can also have other things as well, right? And so now I've started to kind of bring some of those other stuff back into my life, and it's I acting is wonderful, and I love films and I love media and TV shows and telling stories, right? But it's so nice to like feel like a well-rounded person, right? And to be able to do all these other things as well, right? And it helps avoid burnout and all those things. Because being an actor is a wonderful thing because um, you get the privilege of being able to share these kind of unique stories with other people. You get to be part of a team. Um, you get to be treated really well on set. But also, when I think the hardest thing about acting is just when you're not acting, right? Because most of the time you're either auditioning, right, or you're waiting for an audition, right? And so that's why I think actors sometimes also end up writing and producing and doing stuff. So it's so nice to have.
Or or becoming a talent agent.
Right,
I
exactly.
think I
Yeah.
had that with Eliza Roberts. I had the
Mhm.
topic about how to become a talent agent, and I think she said that many actors or actresses becoming talent agents because they can make a living out of acting.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, is I had also an interview with Eric Roberts, and he had this year alone 20 roles in movies and shows.
Yeah.
20.
He's a very prolific actor. He's like an amazing actor, but also extremely, hardworking. So
Yeah, I mean, almost every week a role. It's incredible. It's a dream for any actor.
yeah, and that's kinda how it is sometimes. Sometimes, like, I notice you're kinda hot and sometimes you're not. Like, sometimes, like, I get one role and then immediately, like, I've got another audition, another role too, and that's why you really gotta maximize it when you do have those opportunities,
Would you
'cause
take
sometimes
would you take on any role? Would you get offered right
uh,
now?
not any role. It really kind of depends on, uh I think a lot of times actors will say, because every time you do a new part, you're working with a new team of people. And oftentimes your experience on a project, it's based around the project itself, but it's really based around the people you work with, right? So I think sometimes certain actors you'll hear them say like I'll work on anything that Christopher Nolan does, or I'll work on anything that Steven Spielberg does, or anything that this person does, because you understand what it's like to have that working relationship versus someone who has like a day job where they're always with the same people, right? Every time I go on set, I'm with a whole new group of people, which is really exciting. But I've had amazing set experiences, and then sometimes you have set experiences that aren't as good. So there would I do any role? No, but uh, there are certain people who if they could give me almost any role and I would work with them again, right? Like on that project, on like the Billy Kid the project, Dan Bush, the director, if he asked me to to come and play a role, I would have very few questions compared to someone else. If that makes sense.
Speaking of, do you have any major projects coming up?
Ooh, not at the moment, coming out. One of the more recent things I worked on is I dubbed a Netflix show called Scissor Seven. So I got brought in, and it's really fun actually doing voiceover work because you can show up to work in your pajamas. You can like play all these different parts. It's really cool, and also again, you don't really get overexposed, right? If you can do different voices, right? Because you can do a bunch of different characters. But they brought me in to, and I was really lucky with that part because I didn't have to audition. They just offered me the role. But they offered me this. It's a Chinese anime show called Scissor Seven, and there's a character I play on it called Springwind Ichiro, or Hirokaze Ichiro, and he showed up in season 2, and so I voiced him in each subsequent season. Um, so um, so sometimes I'll get a call and they'll be like, "Oh, the new season's coming out. We want to bring you back in." So I've done the last couple seasons of that. So I'm not sure when the next season comes out if they're going to bring me back if that character appears, but that's happened the last couple of years, right? Is they brought me back to play that character in subsequent seasons, and then sometimes I'll play a couple of their characters in the season.
I hope it will continue.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
fun.
Japanese anime show.
It's a Chinese anime
A
show,
Chinese.
actually, believe it or not. It's on Netflix, so you can if you go on Netflix and you go to the English dub, uh, then you'll see me. The first episode I did is season 2, episode 1, and then I'm in a bunch of the episodes since then.
Jor-el, thank you so much for
Oh,
joining me
of
on my
course.
podcast, and I hope to talk to you again.
I would love to speak with you again. Thanks so much for your questions and your time, Ralph.